Hello, everyone, and thank you so very much for joining me today for Kineo Totara Office Hours. I am so delighted that you are here and taking part in our sessions. A little bit about myself. My name is Taylor Craig, and I am the Learning Platform Specialist here at Kineo. A little bit about what I do. I work with all of our clients. So I train Totara, I train our customizations that we put into place here. Those are all of the different things that I do. I also take control of the office hours sessions, and in those sessions, let's talk a little bit about what we do in those. So these are open only to our clients. We do post the recordings of the feature presentation up on YouTube for anyone who may want to watch them. We do post that up there for them. However, the 45 minutes of open floor and open discussion, that is strictly for clients only, and that part is not placed on YouTube. So if you have any questions, feel free to bring them to me. No questions too big, no questions too small. If I don't know the answer, I bet I know someone who does. So let's go ahead and get going today. So today what we're going to talk about is language customization. A lot of times people don't realize that you have the ability to do language customization on your site, and so they're just kind of sometimes unhappy with the language or the wording that is on their site. So a little bit about what it is. Language customization, inside of Totara, there are all different types of language strings. And that is all of the core standard language that you see all the way throughout the site. In a couple of different places, you do have the ability to tweak and alter and adjust those things. So the reasons why you might use it. Frankly, it is simply going to be a personal preference type of situation. You simply don't like how something's worded, or you would like to word something just a little bit differently. And so let's take a look here as far as how we would make those changes. Let me go ahead and pull it up here on my sales demo site. So the core Totara language, when I'm talking about that, the things that I'm talking about are going to be words like navigation, home, my learning. These types of words all along the sides within the blocks and within your courses and your front page, your login page, all of that good stuff. So that's going to be where that core language is located. Let me just log out here because we're going to actually change a language string. What we're going to change is we're going to change this forgotten your username and or password link. Maybe we just wanted to say forgotten your password. Or maybe we wanted to say forgot your password. So a good way to find those pieces of language is to search for that entire piece of language. So forgotten your username or password. So what we'll do is we'll log in, we'll go to that place, and we'll search for it. Okay. And I'm going to scroll down. This is going to be located underneath Site Administration. And we are going to go to Language. And we are going to go to Language Customization. One thing also, guys, that I might point out here is the Language Settings area. Underneath the Language Settings area, this is where you're going to be able to switch the language pack in which you're using. So, but when I say language pack, I mean the English United States version of language, the English UK version, the Spanish international version. So the different versions of the languages that you're using. And if you would like to switch your dialect to English United States, so the words like enrollment are spelled with 2 L's versus 1, you would do that within the language settings. So it's a very common question we get, and so that is where you would make that adjustment. So I'm going to click on Language Customization. And at this point, I have to choose the language that I want to customize. My site only has one language pack working on it, and that is going to be English United States. So I'm going to click to select, and then I'm going to choose to open the language pack for editing. It's going to load up here. And then we'll click Continue. Okay. So all of the different types of strings that are within Totara, you have your core Totara strings. Now, since Totara is based on Moodle, you're going to notice that Moodle PHP is the one here located at the top. Typically, that's going to be the majority of all of your standard language throughout the entire site. However, if you're wanting to change something, say, down within a quiz, so how certain things behave within a quiz, as far as the language or the instruction that's provided, you would actually locate and search for the quiz PHP area, and it's in here. So we've got question type, calculated, question type, essay. That's what all of these down here are. Here are all the different module types. So this is going to be the core standard language inside of those different modules. Okay, so that's where those things are going to be located. If you're not positive where something is located, it is perfectly okay to select every single string. There is nothing wrong with doing that. But what we're going to do is we're going to search Moodle.php, and I am going to go to only strings containing, and I'm going to search the word forgotten and show those strings. You'll notice here that it has customized only, as well as help only, modified, or string identifiers. So let me point out a few different things. So the string identifier is going to be located here. And this, if I had happened to know the string identifier, which in this case I actually happened to guess it, I could have typed in just that string identifier. For most of you, since you're our clients, you've probably worked with one of our solution architects, and in that case, they've provided to you what's called an administration guide, and in that administration guide, there's going to be a area dedicated to the language strings that they have made adjustments and changes to. And in that, they give you the actual string identifier in more cases than not. So you can actually type in that string identifier and see that. So here I have forgotten your username or password. So maybe I just want to change this to forgotten your password, or just forgot your password. I'm going to type that into this box here, and I am going to save changes to the language pack. There are a couple of gotchas when taking a look at this type of stuff and making these changes. The gotchas that I'm going to point out here, guys, are going to be anytime where you see a placeholder. Typically, a placeholder is going to show text along the lines of hello, and then it'll have a $sign and maybe a caret sign. It'll have a couple of different symbols. And then maybe the word username or first name, and then it'll have symbols around that. So basically what that is that is a placeholder, so that every time that that particular notification goes out, it may say, hello, Nina. So it's going to actually address the individual receiving that notification. So if you see those placeholders, you want to leave those placeholders alone. So that's going to be one gotcha. Another gotcha, guys, is going to be for buttons. So say you don't like that a button says log out, or you don't like that a button says continue. Keep in mind that when you are changing the text on a button, you are potentially changing the text on that button everywhere where that button exists. So for example, the word in Totara, there's several places where there is a submit button. And if you change the word submit to match one activity, it may not match all of the other activities in the system. So in other words, that language string is shared among every button in the system with the word submit. Okay, so use caution when making those edits and making those adjustments to your language strings, and always go and test and see and make sure, spot check throughout your site that it did in fact do what you wanted it to do. So you'll notice here where it says forgot your password, we see that the change has already taken place. I'm going to log right back in real quick, because I want to show you some of those placeholders, and I also want to show you how you can locate the strings that have already been customized on your site. So to do that, again, I'm going to go back to Site Administration, and I'm going to go to Language Customization. We're going to go back into that English United States one. Once you have opened your language pack, it will typically open fairly quickly. Typically, the first time you open it, it can take a pretty significant amount of time for that to open. So don't panic and think that something's wrong with your site if it takes a while for it to load. Okay. What you can do is you can click the box for Customized Only and Show Strings. And that will pull back any strings that have been customized. You actually have to select a component, which is up here, your core strings. And now let me search for it. Now we should see something. We should see the one we just changed. There it is. So now we're able to see one that has already changed. Okay? And I am going to try to just find one that's got a placeholder in it so that we can see what those placeholders look like. Here we go. So in this case, we have what do you want to do with the file, and then we have a placeholder. So it's giving me an action choice. So in that case, there would be an actual file name located in that area. Moving this activity, it's going to be the name of the activity here. So you can always change these language strings. Just be aware that those placeholders, those are there for a reason, and you don't want to change those unless you just absolutely don't want it to be there. So that is going to be language strings in a nutshell, and making those language adjustments and changes. Again, if you're one of our clients and you have an administration guide, you can always go back and refer to the language customizations that have been on your site, been made on your site already. And it's recommended that you just kind of keep a running list of those elsewhere, or you can always come in here and you can check what has been customized on your site. All right, guys, let's open the floor for discussion.